Okay, to create a successful patch, you need the appropriate paper, the right paper. Now, it might be that you'd like to put a colored paper in. You don't want to put a color over the whole background, but you have a particular modeled paper. It has a beautiful texture, a modeled thing. You can buy these beautiful handmade papers, and it's just perfect for your bedspread, and you want to put it on. The best way to do it is to tape the paper that you want to incorporate, or the same paper you've used for your plan to begin with, directly onto your cutting board. And then you take what you want to fix, and you tape that on as well. And tape it securely. And then you use your ruler and your knife, and you cut it out exactly. So, and luckily with floor plans and elevations, everything is a straight line pretty much. So, and I would have rendered my background first, because no matter how careful you are, there's going to be a ridge. So the color can kind of pile up on the ridge. So it'd be better to have colored up the background before you do this. So you remove the parts you don't want, and underneath you have the paper you do want, and you tape that in place loosely with your masking tape. Then you just simply flip it over. I know this seems so simple, but you need an extremely sharp knife. And it has to be this translucent tape. And you just tape it on the back. Make sure you've got it all covered everywhere. And you turn it over. And you can just resume rendering now. And you won't have any problem. So that's patching. Now, don't forget on your planking that you have these intervals as well. Okay. So we'll look at the sand and light tan first. And you have the sienna brown for knots and things. And there's the dark umber. So you start with the lightest one. And I think if you can do it, I know they're very tiny, but if you can do it, you think about your light source and you try to go dark to light if you can. I know they're tiny, so this will be tricky, but go dark to light so that it's not the same flat. This is probably 1,000 planks, though, given what the size of a floor plan. That way, you have that little grace there that shows a separation between the planks. It'll be hard, but I'll have to try and see. And then you just kind of put a little bit over the whole thing. So that's the first part. Then the tan, you can, if you can get in there, because it's going to be tiny. I'm just sort of going up, down, up, down, up, down to indicate a little bit of the wood grain. And it's like marble tiles. You kind of do them all a little separately. and you'll be able to see them. And there's this as well. This is our, see, they've changed. Because it's bond paper, this beautiful change sort of happens. Every so often, you can give yourself a little twist of sienna brown. Now, for a very dark floor, you have dark umber. Let's see what happens if we put this over that. You can't really see it, but you'll see a difference when I get to the bottom. See how dead the color looks here? Here it has more life because there's some warmth underneath. So again, that idea of layering. And if you put this over top. Now, the thing about mahogany wood is that it's a little redder. When you're rendering samples, if your floor is really dark, you would never want to indicate it any darker than that, because this is a top plane and it's getting a lot of light, and it will kill your rendering if you can't get the feeling that the light is passing through the marker and hitting the white of the page, because wood was once a living thing. So if you put it in too solidly, it looks dead and flat. So you wouldn't render your floor this dark. That would kill it. This is a jasmine pencil. Maybe not the right color, but you can always fix it. You can always go back and fix it. So maybe an orange would be the better. Yeah, an orange would have been better. But it shouldn't look like a solid, dark, flat thing. So you never render your samples quite as dark as, and once you put this back in, as Azil was saying, it begins now to look more like a floor. And those colors underneath kept it looking alive rather than dead.